In the previous spoiler, it was mentioned that although the appearance of the Immortal Killer seemed to pose a deadly threat to Luo Feng, but in fact, his safety was still assured. After all, his Masha clan clone had already disguised itself as Zerg remains, hiding at a distance. Even a universe venerable would struggle to detect it, let alone a mere immortal army lord that is in front of him. Without knowing about the Masha clan clone, who would suspect that among the piles of insect remains, with numbers in the hundreds of millions, there could be a living creature hidden? With this trump card in hand, Luo Feng felt at ease. Once confirming his own safety, he treated this assassination attempt as a rare opportunity to test his limits, wanting to experience firsthand the gap between himself and the immortal level. Thus, when faced with the surprise attack from the Immortal Killer, Luo Feng decisively used his Golden Horned Beast clone to fight back. At the same time, as soon as the Golden Horned Beast appeared, Luo Feng wasted no time in using various enhancement secret techniques and the Blood River power, going all out. If we refer to the original storyline, Luo Feng should have completed the first stage of studying the secret manual by now. However, from episode 163, it seems Luo Feng has yet to master the technique that enables his genetic lifeform level to evolve autonomously. Of course, if we look at the time since his departure from Earth, it's certainly enough for his human body to complete the first stage of cultivation. However, due to time constraints, the Golden Horned Beast clone may not have finished cultivating the first stage. Does this mean the Golden Horned Beast's combat power will be weakened? I don't think so. After all, the battle between Golden Horned Beast and Immortal itself is a major highlight, and the production team is sure to enhance it. Perhaps they might shorten the cultivation time or use the results from the Deity of the World secret technique to compensate for the lack of genetic lifeform evolution. It's worth mentioning that unlike innate secret techniques, the amplitude effect of Deity of the World can be enhanced through resource investment. Unfortunately, this enhancement effect decreases as the Golden Horned Beast grows. Moreover, even with Luo Feng's current status, obtaining some rare metals is still difficult. This is the reason why, throughout history, Golden Horned Beasts often only cultivate the first stage of Deity of the World. However, Luo Feng has broken through the limitations and made small progress in the second layer. If the animation sets it to a great success level, it can fully compensate for and even surpass the amplitude effect from the first stage of the secret manual. The only difference is that the physical enhancement from the secret manual is permanent, whereas the amplitude effect of Deity of the World will return to normal once the secret technique is lifted. Back to the storyline. As soon as the Golden Horned Beast appeared, its overwhelming aura made the Immortal Killer mistakenly believe it had reached the pinnacle World Master level. However, even so, he paid no attention. In his eyes, even a pinnacle World Master level Golden Horned Beast would be no match for the Immortal's attack. It is well known that attacks using integrated laws differ vastly from those relying solely on physical strength. Entering the Immortal level means having complete mastery over at least one lower law. The law domain formed by the complete law is incredibly powerful. The so-called law domain is a unique natural law power granted to immortals when they break through, provided by the universe's original laws. Whether it's the law of metal, the law of fire, the law of lightning, or any other kind of domain, there is no inherent strength difference between them, as they are all constructed from a complete lower-level law. For this reason, in battles between immortals, the law domain often does not form a suppressive advantage, as their intensities are same and neither can gain the upper hand. This is why immortals rarely rely on the law domain in combat, but they more often use it for detection and early warning, to sweep up any fish that slip through the cracks or to prevent ambushes. In extraterritorial battlefield, this ability is especially important, as detection instruments may be blocked by higher-level devices, but the law domain is much harder to interfere with. Although the law domain has limited effect between immortals, it is overwhelmingly powerful when dealing with warriors at the World Master level and below. The world projection cast by a World Master is practically useless in the face of a law domain, instantly collapsing under its pressure. Even a typical pinnacle World Master level space beast, with an inner world of 30 million kilometers in size, would be unable to withstand the law domain of an immortal. It could only barely support the pressure, unable to fight at full strength. As a result, pinnacle World Master level space beasts typically choose to flee when faced with an immortal. This has almost become a consensus. Therefore, when the Immortal Killer saw the Golden Horned Beast appear, he remained confident that Luo Feng would undoubtedly perish. However, what the Immortal Killer never expected was that the world projection cast by the Golden Horned Beast could contend with the Immortal's law domain. How could he have anticipated that the inner world of this Golden Horned Beast had already exceeded 60 million kilometers in size, more than double the size of an ordinary pinnacle World Master level space beast? What's even more astonishing is that Luo Feng's inner world has yet to reach its limit. As his rank increases, every step forward expands his inner world by 10 million kilometers. This means that when Luo Feng reaches the 9th level of the World Master, his inner world will surpass 90 million kilometers, at which point, he won't just be able to compete with the Immortal's law domain, but he will be able to completely overwhelm it. This is precisely the confidence that Luo Feng has in continuing to devour the best metals combination after his breakthrough to World Master level. Although it comes at the cost of making it exponentially harder, perhaps even 100-fold or 1,000-fold harder to break through to the Immortal level, the foundation of the world he is building far exceeds that of a typical World Master. The vast and stable world projection allows the golden horned beast to face the Immortal killer without fear, truly possessing a trump card for direct confrontation. Furthermore, with the support of various enhancement secret techniques and the Blood River power, the golden horned beast unleashes terrifying combat power. Its right claw strikes out with a tear-the-sky swipe, embodying the beast god's aura, and manages to clash head-on with the Immortal killer's fiery, flame-like long sword. Each violent collision causes continuous rifts in space, with the shockwaves shaking the entire area, as if even the spatial barriers of this garbage star domain cannot bear the strain. The golden horned beast is actually fighting on equal footing with the Immortal killer, neither side able to gain the upper hand. Despite the fact that the Immortal Army Lord has mastered an entire set of lower-level laws, which should grant an absolute advantage in terms of law power, this battle is breaking the Immortal killer's understanding. Let's not forget that an ordinary Immortal Army Lord's comprehension of laws typically only reaches the level of the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Luo Feng, although not yet having fully mastered the law of metal, has far surpassed this Immortal killer in his understanding of the law of space. These two fundamental laws complement each other and merge seamlessly, allowing Luo Feng to possess the overall strength equivalent to the 10th layer of the Heavenly Bridge. The only weakness lies in the absolute gap in strength, where this is mainly evident in the human and Masha clan clones. However, the golden horned beast is not included in this limitation. With a life gene level 10 times higher than that of a human, and enhanced by various secret techniques and the Blood River power's amplitude, the golden horned beast's right claw is capable of unleashing a terrifying force over 300 times that of a pinnacle world master, reaching the level of an ordinary high-level Immortal Army Lord. Unfortunately, Luo Feng's lack of understanding in laws has not yet allowed this power to achieve a true qualitative leap. Otherwise, with one claw strike, even if it wouldn't be able to kill instantly, it would be more than enough to shatter the Immortal killer's divine body. It is important to remember that, before advancing to the Marquis Immortal level, even Immortal Army Lords have not truly entered the stage of immortality. Thus, as long as their divine body is shattered and reconstituted beyond the limit a certain number of times, they will still face complete demise. As the battle time was nearing its end, the Immortal killer finally chose the most extreme measure, self-detonation. You might wonder why the two sides couldn't decide the outcome sooner? Why did the Immortal killer stop engaging and instead choose to perish together with Luo Feng? Earlier, I mentioned that everything in the Starfield scrapyard is strictly monitored by intelligence systems. The damage detector before the assassination must have left an abnormal record in the system. Combined with the distress email sent by Luo Feng, the intelligence system, following its protocol, would eventually activate the emergency procedure and relay the distress signal to the Universe Venerable stationed there. The entire process would take no more than 2 minutes. Seeing that the combat time was approaching its limit, the Immortal killer judged that he could no longer directly kill Luo Feng within the limited time. However, as a slave assassin, he had to absolutely obey orders and complete his mission. Therefore, he made the most extreme decision, that is, self-detonation, perishing together with Luo Feng. Typically, when an Immortal Army Lord self-detonates, the power is equivalent to the destruction of a star, and the explosion's aftermath can sweep across millions of kilometers. But the self-detonation of this Immortal killer, who mastered the law of fire, was far more terrifying than imaginable. The law of fire is known for its high temperature and violent nature. To detonate himself without any warning and unleash a torrent of violent energy was like a natural disaster descending. The golden horned beast was too close to avoid, forced to endure the blast. However, when the destruction energy, hotter than a star, devoured everything, even the very fabric of space was scorched, twisted, and melted. How could the golden horned beast escape? Only the right claw, strengthened by gene mutations, which benefited from 100 Blood River crystals, could withstand the blast, while the rest of its body, including its internal organs, turned to ash, leaving only the bones, resembling a skeletal frame. On the other hand, the Masha clan clone, 80,000 kilometers away, survived due to the thick layer of insectoid corpses blocking the blast. After all, the bodies of hundreds of millions of pinnacle world master-level Zerg warriors had piled up, forming a terrifying defensive barrier. Even so, the space within 100 kilometers of the explosion's center was completely burned away by the fiery flames, turning into nothingness. Luo Feng, who survived the catastrophe, was filled with a sense of awe, realizing that the danger was not over. He immediately summoned the skeletal form of the golden-horned beast back into his inner world. At the same time, he drew upon the power of his world to quickly gather the scattered fragments and remains of the golden-horned beast. After all, the limit of Luo Feng's world projection exceeded 10 million kilometers, so retrieving materials within a radius of thousands of kilometers from the explosion center was an easy task. His caution was deliberate to conceal the presence of the golden-horned beast. Even though the battle had ended, when the rescue arrived, they would inevitably carry out a thorough investigation according to protocol. Luo Feng couldn't afford to leave any trace behind. You might wonder, wouldn't the Immortal Killer have sent information about the golden-horned beast back to the Zerg clan before his death? The answer is no, as he is unable to do so. The reason is that as a sole servant of the Zerg Queen, his identity had already been exposed, or he wouldn't have been used as a disposable assassination tool. It is important to note that the term Zerg Queen here does not refer to the Zerg Queen enslaved by Luo Feng Irina. In fact, Zerg Queen refers to the controller of each Zerg hive, and such nests are not unique in the universe. The ones capable of commanding and issuing orders throughout the entire Zerg clan are usually high-ranking individuals, typically at the Universe Master level, which is the same level as the Primal Chaos City leader, rather than being at the World Master level like Irina. Once the identity of an alien spy hidden within the human race is exposed, their account in the virtual universe will undoubtedly be closely monitored by the Human Intelligence Organization. He wouldn't be foolish enough to risk connecting to the virtual universe to send the information that Luo Feng has a golden-horned beast guard. It's also worth mentioning that without knowledge of the golden-horned beast's innate secret technique clone, when it appeared in front of Luo Feng, it was often mistakenly treated as Luo Feng's sole servant or a personal guard sent by King Jinyan. Moreover, the Immortal Killer also knew that if he sent a message through the virtual universe, not only would he expose himself, but it would also implicate other spies hidden within human race. Thus, he would never make such a foolish move. As for the World Master level assassin responsible for message delivery, he was personally eliminated by the Immortal Killer when he took over the assassination mission. This was to prevent the World Master assassin from falling into the hands of a powerful human figure, who might use soul-searching to uncover more secrets of the insectoid infiltration network. Therefore, the Immortal Killer had no means of communication. Once the mission began, regardless of success or failure, he was destined for death. This is precisely why I referred to him as a disposable assassination tool. Back to the plot. When the Masha clan clone was hidden at a distance, Luo Feng had already secured an invincible position. Even if the golden-horned beast was unable to defeat the Immortal Killer, it could choose to self-detonate and perish together with the enemy. Even if the self-detonation still couldn't kill the opponent, Luo Feng could sacrifice his human body at most. After all, with the existence of the Masha clan clone remaining unknown, who would suspect that Luo Feng's true lifeline had long been hidden deep within the Zerg warrior's remains? Under the assumption that no one would investigate, Luo Feng could naturally survive. When Luo Feng witnessed the terrifying power of the Immortal Army Lord's self-detonation, seeing the explosion directly destroy thousands of insectoid corpse units, he had a sudden idea and immediately used the power of his world to secretly collect hundreds of those corpse units. Do you agree with Luo Feng's action? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. However, this act of theft is likely to be adapted by the production team as compensation for Luo Feng's attack in the Starfield scrapyard. Of course, Luo Feng was not greedy, for if the scale of the theft did not match the traces left at the scene, it would easily expose a flaw. While waiting for the rescue team, Luo Feng had repeatedly simulated and thought of the most reasonable excuse in his mind. After all, he couldn't just tell everyone that he had only narrowly escaped from the Immortal Army Lord's hands thanks to the golden-horned beast and the Masha clan clone. However, Luo Feng did not realize that the enormous loss this disaster caused the five great forces had already set up a new hidden danger for him. Do you remember? In the previous spoiler, I mentioned that the resource transactions in the Starfield scrapyard had an approval limit. If it did not exceed the limit, King Longju could have personally smoothed everything over for Luo Feng. But now, this massive loss has exceeded King Longju's authority, and Luo Feng cannot escape the joint review of the five great forces. With no witnesses to contradict him, will Luo Feng successfully cover up the truth? Or will he ultimately fail to avoid punishment? Stay tuned for the next spoiler, where I will reveal the truth. Well, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching this video. Wish you a wonderful day.